of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to do the roll call of the members, so please just say aye. Your name if you're online with us. Jason Wienerman.
Aye.
Sean Blackburn.
Aye.
Jason Crone.
Aye.
Ken Mossman.
Aye.
Mike Burrell.
Aye.
Richard Blankish.
Aye.
Commissioner Persky.
Aye.
And myself, Jeff Bertram. We'll do the staff roll call now. Jen will do that.
All right, I'm Jennifer Buckentine, present.
Angie Berg, present, and I would also like to announce that Chad May from the Stearns County Attorney's Office is calling in and will be available at the end of the meeting, and we'll call in at that point.
Shelley Benson, Environmental Services Director.
Thank you. Now Jen will explain the procedure for the meeting tonight and why we're having the meeting the way we are.
All right, so in response to the COVID-19 and pursuant to Minnesota Statute Chapter 12 relating to emergency management, Governor Walz has declared a state of emergency. In response to the state of emergency and in accordance with the Minnesota Statute Chapter 13D.021, all Planning Commission members, except for the chair and certain applicants, are participating via telephone. In person, public comments are not going to be heard to conform with MDH and CDC guidelines to minimize gatherings. Members of the public were asked to submit comments by 3 p.m. today.
Okay. Is that it?
That is it. Do you want to summarize how we'll do the items?
Yes.
Or I can do that? Okay.
Yep. We'll, well, no, go ahead. You can do that, Jen.
All right, so as each item comes up on the agenda, I, as the staff, will introduce the item, and we will have the applicant check in, whether they're on the phone or in person. We'll confirm that they're present, and then I will summarize the staff report for that item, and then the Planning Commission members will be able to ask questions. We will have an opportunity to hear from the applicants, and then if there is any public testimony that we've received, we will enter that into the record as well before the Planning Commission makes a vote on the item.
Thank you, Jen. And then if you do have a question, you'll just have to state, you'll have to say a question and then say your last name, that we know who it is that's asking the question, and then I'll recognize you and you can go ahead and ask the question. We will be doing roll call on each vote, so we won't be doing all the votes at one time. We'll just do it individually, one at a time. And I'll call the name, and then you either vote aye or nay on how you want to do it. I think that's pretty much it. Before we start the meeting, some of you may have heard that the former member, John Kriebel, died, passed away, so I'd ask that we just have a moment of silence in memory of John. So please pause for a moment in memory of John. Thank you. The first item on the agenda then is to consider an interim use permit from Tara Meyer, Sauk Center. Jen, do you want to give the staff report, please?
Yes, this is a request submitted by Tara Meyer of Sauk Center, Minnesota. The request is to operate a vacation private home rental in the A160 zoning district. This property is in Section 3 of Getty Township, lying on the north side of County Road 190. The address is 40314 County Road 190, Sauk Center, Minnesota.
Okay. And Ms. Meyer is with us by phone?
Yes, let's confirm if Tara...
Yes, I am on the phone.
Okay. You want to state your name and address for the record, please?
Tara Meyer, you want my home address or the location address?
The home address.
39957 360th Street, Sauk Center.
Thank you. And then just for the record, members, I'm going to call the roll, and please just identify if you did a site visit. Just say yes if you did, and no, of course, if you didn't. Jason Wienerman?
Yes.
Sean Blackburn?
Yes.
Jason Crone?
Yes.
Ken Mossman? You did, Ken?
Yes.
Thank you. Mike Perrell?
Yes.
Richard Blankish?
Yes.
Commissioner Persky?
Yes, and I'm having a little difficulty hearing Jennifer.
Okay, she'll talk closer to the microphone. And then I did a site visit as well. So staff report we had. Any questions? Ms. Meyer, do you want to add anything to the staff report that Jen gave at the beginning?
No, I think the staff report covered everything. Thank you.
Okay,
Mr. Chair?
Jennifer?
If I could just, I hadn't summarized the proposed conditions yet, if I could do that briefly.
Sure.
So let me just get a map up here of what we're looking at. Okay. So this is the property in question. It's 160 acres with an existing building site, and they're requesting to rent out the home there on a temporary basis. So the property does have a 3-bedroom home, so they'll be allowed to have up to 8 persons occupying it when it's being rented. We did receive the water test and septic inspection, and that was all passing. The applicants have talked to our lodging licensing staff, and they are aware what they need to prepare for the lodging license. So if the permit would be approved, the conditions to consider would be an expiration date for the interim use permit. They're requesting 10 years. The maximum occupancy shall be limited to 8 persons. The applicant shall obtain a lodging license from the department before renting out the home. Flow measurement readings and monitoring of the septic system shall be recorded monthly, and then make those records available to the department upon request. And keep a report detailing the use of the home, at a minimum recording the name, address, phone, and vehicle license number of all guests, and a copy of that report provided to the department upon request.
Okay, so the, if everybody's in agreement with the 10-year request, that would be December 31st, 2030, correct? We always do it at the end of the year.
Correct.
So unless anybody has any objections, that's what the permit would go through. And then I was just curious, should we have any reference, this is the first vacation home rental that I'm aware of, that we've done it in a non-lake environment. You know, this is a rural farming environment. Should we consider having something about the sight, sounds, and smells of agriculture preceded the permit? Should we, you know, we don't want someone coming out there and renting the property or staying at the property for a month and then start complaining. We all know what happens in Getty Township. I mean, it's agricultural, animal agricultural is heavy out there. So should we consider doing something like we do on the plats?
This is Shira Meyer. It's actually advertised as a farm stay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
It's actually advertised as a farm stay, and the purpose of it is to educate about farming. So I'm a farmer myself, so that's kind of all included in my advertising.
And I appreciate that, but you'd be surprised in my lifetime, if you live long enough, you see and hear everything. People built homes in the middle of a farming township, and within a couple of months, they complain about farming. So if they happen to be coming from someplace that they're not familiar with farming, it would really protect you and certainly the residents. So it's really doesn't negatively affect anything. It just kind of recognizes that this is a farm area. And again, I don't know how important it is, but members, do you have any input on that or concerns or?
Mr. Chair, this is Jason. You know, I think due to the short-term nature of most of these days,
Excuse me,
It may not be-
Jason, Jason, hang on one second. Mute what?
They need to mute their phones.
Oh,
because we're getting-
all your phones have to be muted when somebody's talking. Jason's not coming through evidently. I'm sorry, Jason, restate that.
I think due to the short-term nature of these rentals, that language is probably as critical as it is in a permanent housing situation. So I guess I don't know that it's necessary, but I'll defer to the lead.
Somebody's got a radio playing or some phone. Oh, the meeting's on?
He needs to turn the meeting all
Okay.
the way down to zero.
Who's ever got the meeting on the laptop or your computer, turn the volume all the way down. You'll still be able to hear it.
No, turn it to zero.
No, but I mean on the laptop, turn it to zero, but you obviously will still be able to hear the meeting on your phone. Somebody's got major background going on.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
Mr. Blanket here.
yes.
Everything is garbled. I could hear a word that Jason Crone was trying to say.
Shelley says it's a feedback.
So they have to turn the volume on their laptops to zero.
Shelley says turn the
My
volume.
my laptop is to zero.
Okay, everybody check if your laptop volume is to zero. The sound seemed to go, the background sound seemed to gone away, so somebody figured it out. Thank you. So,
Mr. Chair,
yes,
Mr. Blankish again.
yes.
Are we supposed to be seeing the broadcast at this time?
You can or you don't have to.
I'm
You don't-
not getting a broadcast.
Okay, you should be able to, but you don't have to. But if you go to that meeting on demand on the website, Stearns County on the website to the meeting on demand, and then,
I did all of that. I got a black screen is what I have.
okay? Well, you don't know how lucky you are, that you don't have to see me. It's coming through. Yep. It's coming through, but you must be, if you close your window, staff is saying, Deb says, close your window and then reopen it. See if that helps.
This is Sean, if I may. Can you hear me?
Yes, Sean.
I think that the thing is that we have a loop, and whoever's listening online, it's got about a minute delay. So it's really clouding the issues, although it is cleaning up a bit from people putting their mutes on and stuff.
Okay?
Getting better.
Thank you. Staff is listening to all this and are trying to adjust accordingly. Volumes are down, so we're back to the issue of, should we worry about the sight, sounds, and smells of agriculture, or should we just pass on that?
I think that we should, Mr. Chair?
Yes,
This is
Rich.
Richard Blankish.
Yes.
I think we should put something in the recommendations that it is spelled out somewhere in communication between the owner and the people leasing or renting, however you want to call that. And so everybody's well aware of that, and we don't have a visitation about smells and the sounds of
Okay,
this particular. Thank you.
okay. Any other input on that? If not, oh, go ahead, Jason.
So, question for both the applicants and staff. This is a working farm site, so I assume the house is going to be leased. Are there any safety concerns around the other outbuildings regarding age of the building, structural integrity, farm equipment on site? Are there any concerns related to that in terms of this permit?
Jennifer?
Mr. Chair, Planning Commission members, there are no concerns noted.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions of Ms. Meyer or staff?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Persky.
Joe?
Yes, I got a question here. It's a general question about this vacation rental. This is the first one that we're having that's not necessarily on a lake, and it's at a farm. I would imagine that we're going to be would be in charge of any rentals that would be outside city limits. So my question is, does this just then now open the door that anyone could have a vacation rental at their house?
Mr. Chair,
Jennifer?
Planning Commission members, that is something that the county zoning ordinance does allow in all the ag and residential zoning districts, is a vacation rental via an interim use permit. We have had one other rental many years ago that was also not in a lakeshore area, but what you're used to seeing is lakeshore rentals, but it is allowed to be requested county-wide.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, is that microphone tied into the phone system? I can't hear it very well. I don't know if the others are having the same problem.
well, she's talking in the two microphones. Last night, I noticed that Dave, I was having a hard time hearing Dave, and he was sitting there. So is that middle microphone maybe better?
I could use 3.
Let's add a third one and see if that helps.
Yeah, the one to the phone line, I do not hear that one from her.
No, test it just once, Jennifer.
Hello, this is Jennifer. Is that any better?
Still soft.
Okay. Staff will check on that, see if they can do something.
All right.
Okay?
Okay, but I'm just putting the question out to you and the board members as far as then what we do with this, what we're going to do with rentals. Can any home be then potentially a vacation rental?
Good point, Jen.
This is Jennifer again. So the county zoning ordinance does allow vacation rentals in all the agricultural and residential zoning districts as an interim use. We just haven't seen a demand for it really up until now, but it is allowed countywide.
Okay, you're coming to it better now.
Okay.
Okay, you can move forward.
Any other questions or issues? Have we reached some consensus on that, making a sixth condition on the site sounds? Anybody have a problem with that? So then we'll add that as a sixth. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, this is Jason Crone. I guess I don't think it's necessary, but if others feel strongly that it is, I'm okay with it.
Sure. So is anybody else?
I think it's nice to have it there, just to kind of cover our bases.
Okay.
It's like a safety feature.
Okay. Hearing nothing else, I think we'll just go ahead and add it. And then when we do the findings, if we have a problem with it, we can deal with it then. So at this point, we would open the public hearing. So is there anyone in the building, in the room here to testify on this item? Seeing none in the building, is there anyone online?
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
There wouldn't be anyone online. I did not receive any written testimony on this item.
got it. So no one will be online, no written testimony, nobody's in the building, so motion would be in order to close the public hearing.
I move we close the public hearing.
Rich moves, Rich moves to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Jason Crone, second.
Jason Crone seconds it. All those in favor of closing public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Public hearing is closed. Do you want me to do roll call on even closing the public hearing? No. I think this will work for that. Okay, yeah. Okay, no correspondence, no motion to close public hearing. Okay, any more discussion before we go do the findings? If not, let's be ready for the findings. Number 1, is the proposal consistent with existing county ordinances? Specify sections of the ordinances.
Mr. Chair, Jason Wienerman here. Yes, it's consistent with the Land Use and Zoning Ordinance 439, sections 4.18, 6.60, and 9.16G, with vacation and private home rentals allowed in the Act 160 district.
Thank you, Jason. Number 2, are there any other standards, rules, or requirements that the proposal must meet?
Conditions, this is Commissioner Blankish.
6 conditions. Thanks, Rich. Number 3, is the proposed use compatible with the present and future land uses in the area, or can it be separated by distance or screened from adjacent land uses?
Mr. Chair, this is Jason Crone. I believe it is. This is intended to be a farm site stay for the people that attend, so it fits in with the agricultural tendencies of the area.
Thank you, Jason. Number 4, are there environmental concerns, groundwater, surface water, air quality, et cetera, that should be addressed as part of this proposed request?
Mr. Chair, Jason Wienerman here again. I believe our 6th condition related to the ag site smells and actions will address any of the air quality or other concerns that might arise.
Thank you, Jason. Number 5, has information been provided regarding impact to property values? No. 6, what potential public health, safety, traffic generation impacts will the proposal have in relation to the area? No impact, or minimum impact at best. Number 7, how does the proposal affect the general health, safety, and welfare of the residents? Really no change. 8, does the proposal conform to the goals and objectives of the county comprehensive plan?
Mr. Chair, this is Jason Crone. I believe that it does. Under land use plan, goal number 1, sustain agriculture as a desirable land use for the long term. Objective 1, I think, is a good case of nurturing and preserving a sound agricultural economy, particularly by those that stay there, educating them about agriculture.
Thank you, Jason. Number 9, how does the proposal affect existing public services, schools, parks, streets, and utilities? Really no effect.
Minimally.
10, has the applicant provided financial assurance? Not applicable. 11, other issues pertinent to this matter. I might just add on this one that staff has contacted all the townships regarding the items tonight. This is, they contacted the Getty Township supervisors, had no further comments or changes to the draft, correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Yep. So, I would just,
Mr. Chair, Joe Persky.
yes.
Say, I was just wondering, again, this is the first time we have one that's not on the lake. Do we need to say anything about snow removal that it guarantees a person to be able to get in and out of the property?
I think, and that's a fair question, but I think just like the buildings that Jason had, overall, I think it's going to be on the property owner, obviously, to deal with grass cutting, snow blowing, the general upkeep of the building. I would think it's going to be part of the overall responsibility of the property owner.
I would agree that would be the responsibility of property owner, but just thinking we have a blizzard during the week and the person wants to get out, but they're stuck in there because the snowplow county's truck came by and plowed them in, and now they're stuck there.
Mr. Chair, this is Jason Crone. I think you could make that argument for any property, regardless of where it exists. And I realize snow removal might be a little bigger deal in the country in certain cases, but I don't know that this is necessary in this case.
Okay, I'm fine with it. I'm just looking at, if we need to put any other type of
the qualifications on these things, you know, looking out for the people that are going to be renting them.
Yeah, good consideration, appreciate it.
Okay, with the,
Appreciate both sides.
what was that? Somebody say something?
I appreciate both sides, but I agree with Jason.
Okay, got it. With that, with the finishing of the findings, and a motion would be in order. County board action on this item, on the recommendation would be on April 21st, which would be next Tuesday. So a motion would be in order at this time.
This is Jason Crone. I'd make a motion to recommend approval with the 6 recommended action plan conditions.
Okay,
We'll second that. Richard Blankish.
okay. Jason Crone moves and Richard Blankish seconds. Recommend approval of the county board. We'll do a roll call now for this. Jason Wienerin,
Aye, yes?
Sean Blackburn,
Aye.
Jason Crone,
Aye.
Ken Mossman, Ken Mossman, you need to unmute, Ken, if you've got your button muted. Ken Mossman. Mike Perrell,
Aye.
Richard Blankish,
Aye.
Commissioner Persky, remember, does not vote, and the chair votes aye. Ken, are you with us now? We might have to try to get Ken back on again. Okay, so the motion, recommend a motion to the county board to approve is passed. Thank you. The second order of business is to consider a request for a conditional use permit submitted by Charlotte Beckers. The staff report, Jennifer?
Okay. This request is,
Yes.
Yes, this is just going to note that I'm on for this one. This is Troy Fryhammer, Environmental Services.
thank you, Troy.
Just hang tight. We're going to do the staff report, and then we'll call on you.
Okay, this is to consider a request for a conditional use permit submitted by Charlotte Beckers of Melrose. The request is to replace a legal non-conforming building that's used for solid waste transfer station. Specifically, it's the building that's used to store the trucks in it. The proposal is located in Section 31 of Millwood Township. The property is at 38164 Thunder Road, Melrose. All right, so the building was lost in a fire this past winter. So Charlotte is requesting to replace the building. Like I said, it's used to store trucks, and also will be used for a restroom and break area for the employees. The replacement building will be the same size as the previous structure, 48 by 80. Let's see. The property contains the existing business, as you know, and for this building, the state accessibility code is required to be met. So we'll need confirmation from a licensed building official that the plans meet the accessibility code. The business also has a solid waste license from the county and a permit by rule from the state of Minnesota. They are not currently fully in compliance with the county's solid waste license. They are working on coming into compliance, and we can update you more on that if you'd like more information. They have hauled out many loads in the past month of material, so they are making great progress on that. Let's see. The parking on the site is adequate. There's existing screening on site. And for the most part, the materials are stored behind the building. Access to the facility is paved. Let's see. So if the Planning Commission were to recommend approval, the conditions we would suggest would be the requirement that they meet the accessibility code before we would issue the construction permit. A condition that they would use construction site best management practices when doing the new construction. And then a third condition to consider is a requirement that the business come into compliance with the solid waste license by April 1st of 2021. And also consider requiring a financial guarantee of $50,000 to ensure compliance with the solid waste license. And then that would be released upon gaining that compliance.
Okay. Now, can we identify who's online for the application?
Yeah, Charlotte Beckers from Tom's Refuse.
Thank you, Charlotte. And you have someone else with you?
My brother-in-law works for me, Clem Beckers.
Okay. And then was there an architect or somebody that was?
Troy Freihammer from the department, from Environmental Services is on the line if there's questions for
Got
Troy.
it. Okay. And then just for the record, Charlotte, you don't have a problem with me chairing this part of the meeting because of what we both do?
I'm sorry, I don't have a problem with what? Please repeat that.
With me chairing this meeting or this part of the meeting regarding this item, because we're both in the same business, I want to make sure that you feel comfortable with me chairing this part of the meeting.
I don't have a problem with that.
Thank you. And I won't be voting, not because, quite frankly, I could, but I won't, just to make everything clean. I won't be voting on it, but if you don't have a problem with me chairing it, obviously.
No, I do not.
Thank you. Okay. Is there anything you want to add to the staff report? Carla?
Not really, no. Other than, I lost my truck shed, as Jennifer had said, and it's crucial in the business, as you know, to have a housing for the trucks for maintenance and such.
Got it. Yep. So let's do a roll call from commission members on who did a site review. Jason Weinerman?
Yes.
Sean Blackburn?
Aye.
Jason Crone?
Yes.
Ken Mossman?
Yes.
Mike Perrell?
I'm here.
Thanks, Ken. Good to have you back. Mike Perrell?
Yes.
Richard Blankish? Richard?
Yes,
Did you do a site review?
I did.
Thank you. Commissioner Persky?
Yes, I did, and do we want to see if we can get Ken's vote on that last issue? Did we get that?
I don't think we have to worry about it. It passed, so we'll let that one go. And then I did a site review as well. Anything more from the staff report?
One thing I should note, and Charlotte is aware of this, there's a holding tank underneath the building, or under the cement. The cement is still in place. There's a holding tank there for the floor drain, and so that needs a compliance inspection for the new building. And Charlotte's aware of that.
Okay.
That's happening tomorrow.
Okay. We'll open the public hearing now.
Evelmeyer Excavating is supposed to come tomorrow and do the inspection.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. We're going to open the public hearing now. Is there anybody in the room for this item? Seeing nobody, is there any written correspondence?
No written correspondence was received.
Okay. So we could probably close the public hearing. Can we get a motion and second?
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing. This is Commissioner Blankish.
Okay. Second?
Jason Crone seconds.
Okay. So Rich Blankish moves to close. Jason Crone seconds it. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The public hearing is closed. Now we'll have a discussion on the item. Any more questions from anybody?
Mr. Chair, Jason Wiederman here. Question for staff. On the third condition with the financial guarantee, if we do not, so the guarantee will pay for the removal if the owner doesn't do that. If we don't provide condition 3 and they don't do that, does the interim use permit then expire and the building has to be removed?
Mr. Chair, Planning Commission members, Jennifer Buckentine, if there is no financial guarantee and if they don't comply with the condition, the Planning Commission would have the option to revoke the interim use permit. The other option would be for the county to go in and do the cleanup and assess it on the taxes.
This is Chair Bertram. Personally, I don't think Tom's Refuse has been in business for a long time. Personally, I don't think we need to do a financial guarantee. If they say they're going to do it, I think they're going to do it. Plus, with the additional, what you just said, if they don't do it, well, then, of course, it would come back to a planning commission, and it could be addressed then. But personally, I don't think the third condition is needed.
Mr. Chair, on that matter, this is Jennifer, if I could add, Charla has sent me receipts for what they have hauled out in the last month, and they've taken out 3 loads of appliances, 11 loads of recyclable cardboard, actually make that 13, and then several loads of tires, two loads of tires. So that's the progress they've made in the last month, just to give you an idea. And Troy visited the site today as well, if you had any questions for Troy.
So the progress has been significant to date in a short period of time.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Chair, Joe Persky, Jennifer and Troy, how much more needs to be done there in order to meet compliance?
Troy, do you want to, or Charla maybe could address that?
Well, yeah, Troy would have to. Troy would have to answer that.
I don't know what.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what amount is allowed in compliance with the outside stuff. Troy was here today, so he would have better insight on that.
Troy, do you want to answer that question, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is Troy Freihammer. It'd be hard to put the finger on the exact amount that's out there that needs to be, as far as like a volume-wise. I kind of look at it as an amount of time frame. If the progress I've seen so far, from my inspection today, given the current situation with Ms. Beckers being able to hire additional staff because of other layoffs, and additional equipment that she's brought in, that they could quite possibly be done midsummer if the situation, if the current situation maintains. However, that could very easily turn into next year if we go back to a more normal routine, with cleanup events, people going back to Lakeshore and that kind of thing.
Okay. So any other questions from members? If not,
Not on mine.
We'll do the findings of fact then. Did we?
Mr. Chair, Joe Persky again.
Yes, Joe.
When I made the site visit, I was intrigued by the number of old autos and the amount of salvage that was in that area. Does that belong to the property as well?
I don't think so, but I'll let staff respond.
Troy, can you address that?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry which member asked the question, but it was a lot of the junk and salvage actually belongs to Irv Beckers, who formerly operated Beckers Recycling, which is basically to the southwest of Charlotte.
So all the cars and everything that you saw are not part of Tom's property or business?
Mr. Chair, are they in compliance to county standards, the things that are existing there? The cement mixer, the roller, and the bus on its side, and all those old vehicles even in and around that wetland. Do we have any standards by which they would be not meeting?
And again, that's not the part of the Tom's part, but certainly if Troy wasn't aware of the cars, or none of us were, which I personally was, but if you weren't, you certainly saw them when you did a site review. And again, it's not part of this. However, I think we all raised an eyebrow when we saw what we saw, and I would hope that Troy knew that that was there before this application. Are we there, Troy?
Sorry about that. I hung myself up. I apologize. Did I get my answer regarding the neighbor being Becker's Recycling?
We got all that, and Commissioner Persky's asking if, again, it's not part of this application, but because it's gotten brought up, all the cars and the cement mixer and the bus tipped on its side in that swamp area, Commissioner Persky's wondering what the status of that is.
I'm sorry. Well, we could definitely bring that talk with Commissioner Persky regarding the operation there with formerly Becker's Recycling. I'd rather not drag this meeting on talking about another property.
Commissioner Persky, did you hear that?
Yes, I did. The relationship, the closeness of the two properties, they're right next to each other, and I don't know if they are at all associated with each other. I'm just alarmed that I don't know if that meets compliance to county ordinance or not. I guess we should follow up on that.
Well, let's do this. Troy said that he'll talk to you about it. The next meeting, we'll have that on our agenda then for an update to give Troy more time to address it with you and then update the Planning Commission at the next meeting. So let's do it that way.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, thanks. But we will get a report on it. So any other questions or comments on this before we go to the findings? If not, let's go to the findings. Number one, is the proposal consistent with the existing county ordinance performance standards? Specify the sections.
Mr. Chair, this is Jason Crone. I believe it is. Land use and zoning ordinance number 439, section 4.8, 5.1.1a, 6.54, and 9.3.
Thank you, Jason. Number two, are there any other standards, rules, or requirements that the proposal must meet?
Mr. Chair, Jason Wienerman here. I would recommend these first two conditions and striking the third condition, and I'd make that a motion if appropriate.
Should we do that? I don't know if we need a motion. I think there was consensus, or should we vote on that? I think there was consensus that we wouldn't need item 3, Jason. So unless someone's got a problem now, then we'll vote. Otherwise, we won't have to. Anybody have an issue with just having the 2 conditions and not the third one?
No.
Okay, hearing no concern, then we don't have to vote on it. We'll
Mr.
just.
Chair?
Yep, Jennifer.
Could I just clarify on that item? Are you suggesting striking all of condition 3 or just the part with the financial guarantee?
Just the financial guarantee part.
Okay.
So there would be 3 conditions. but not the financial
Okay, so leave
guarantee of
it-
50,000. Correct?
So we would keep the first sentence, and then strike the second two.
Got it. So there will be 3 conditions without the financial guarantee.
Perfect.
Got it. Thank you, Jennifer and Jason. 3, is the proposed use compatible with the present, future land uses in the area? Can it be separated by screening or distance from adjacent land uses?
Mr. Chair, I believe it's consistent with what it has been for previous years.
Thank you, Jason. Number 4, are there environmental concerns, groundwater, surface water, air quality, wellhead protection, that should be addressed as part of the proposed request?
Mr. Chair, Jason Wienerman here. They will be as identified in the conditions.
Thank you, Jason. Number 5, has information been provided regarding the impact property values? No. Number 6, what potential public health, safety, traffic generation impacts will it have in relation to the area? No change?
No impact.
No change, is that?
No
No
impact.
change.
No impact, yep. 7, how does the proposal affect general health, safety, welfare of the residents? No change?
Minimally.
Okay, stay with me, guys. Number 8, does the proposal conform to the goals and objectives of the county comprehensive plan?
Mr. Chair, this is Jason Crone. I believe it does under the economic development plan. Goal number 1, maintain and strengthen economic diversity, particularly objective 2, which is encourage industrial development within existing communities, including the redevelopment of existing sites, which this is, and filling of industrial and business parks.
Thank you, Jason. Number 9, how does the proposal affect existing public services and facilities, including schools, parks, streets, utilities?
Minimally.
No impact, minimum impact. 10, has the applicant provided financial assurance? It's not applicable.
Not required.
Yep. And then item number 11, other issues pertinent to this matter. I would add at this point, the Millwood Township meeting is going to be, or was March 30th. They didn't submit any additional comments, right?
Correct, Mr. Chair. I contacted them, and they were having a teleconference, and they were struggling with getting through everything and did not get through that form.
Got it. So there's no additional points from them. So, motion would be in order.
Mr. Chair, this is Jason Crone. I would make a motion to recommend approval with 3 conditions. The third amended as Jason Wienerman has.
This is Commissioner Blanchard.
You need to mute your phones again, guys. So Jason Crone moved it. Did we get a second?
Rich said second.
Okay, Rich Blanket seconded it. Any discussion? If not, we'll do the roll call. To recommend approval of the county board for the April 21st meeting. Jason Wienerman,
Yes.
Sean Blackburn,
I'm sorry, my connection got dropped. I just got back. What are we asking now?
we're asking to vote for final approval on the item number 2, recommendation to the county board for approval. Aye. Okay, Jason Crone,
Aye.
Jason Crone is an aye.
thank you. Ken Mossman,
Aye.
Mike Perrell,
Nay.
yep. Richard Blankish,
Rich says aye.
Commissioner Persky doesn't vote. The chair is not going to vote. I'm abstaining. Okay, recommendation is approved, again, to the county board for the April 21st board meeting. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, what was the vote on that, the numbers?
It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 aye, 1 no, and 1 abstention.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, we're going to go to item number 3, which is the conditional use permit submitted by Gerald Greenis. We'll have the staff report.
Okay, item number 3, this is a request for a conditional use permit submitted by Gerald Greenis of Richmond. The request is to add on to an existing agriculturally oriented business located in the A40 zoning district. This property is at the corner of 213th Avenue and County Road 43. Address is 17063 213th Avenue, Richmond. The business here is Jerry's Custom Meats, and the request is to add on to the building. It'll about double the size of the building that's there. This business was originally permitted and built in 2009 and looking to expand at this time. As far as the proposal goes, there is plenty of room on site for the required parking. The new addition has been reviewed by the county building official that reviews our plans for accessibility compliance. The new addition doesn't need to have accessibility review due to the fact that the way it's being set up and there's no office space in it. So that review has been completed. The signs on the property are not in compliance at this time. They are only allowed to have 1 sign. If you were out there, you saw that they have 2. And the maximum size allowed is 32 square feet per surface with 2 surfaces. And then the height limit is 10 feet. So Jerry is aware of that, and he has ideas on how he's going to come into compliance with that. Looking at the area that we're in here, it is primarily an agricultural area with some feedlots in the area, as you can see. Primarily zoned agricultural 40. There is some residential 10 as you get to the north. If the Planning Commission were to recommend approval of this request, the conditions we would suggest would be to use construction site best management practices during construction on the property. There is a shipping container on the property, and if the plan is to keep that, right now it's located behind the building, and it'll have to be moved for the addition. If they're going to keep that on site, that is fine as long as it meets setbacks, and we'll just add that on our construction permit. So we'll just need to know that from Jerry. They need to do a compliance inspection for the septic system. That compliance inspection was just done this week, but they do need to address the original waste strength permitting conditions on the original septic permit, and then evaluate the necessity of any system expansion needs due to change in business practice with this addition. If it's determined that they need to add on or modify the septic system at all, they'll need to have a design completed and submitted for permitting. And then the last item for a condition I mentioned would be bringing those signs into compliance with the sign ordinance. I suggest a date of September 1st to get that completed. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. I see Mr. Greenis is here. Do you want to step up to the podium and identify yourself for the record, please?
Gerald Greenis.
Thank you. Do you want to add anything to the staff report, Jerry?
No.
Okay. Let's do a quick roll call on the site review if you were there. Jason Wienerman?
Yes.
Sean Blackburn?
Yes.
Did you hear him?
Yes.
Jason Crone?
Yes.
Ken Mossman?
Yes.
Mike Perrell?
Yes.
Richard Blankish?
Yes.
Commissioner Persky?
Yes.
And I was I visit the site as well. Did anybody buy sausage? Just joking. We still can laugh even if it's a simulcast. At least we'll try. So anything additional on the staff report? Jen?
I don't have anything additional, and I did not receive any correspondence from the public on this one.
Got it. And then any other discussion before I go to the public hearing, guys?
Mr. Chair, Jason Wienerman here. One question for the staff on recommended action number 3. You have a completion date of June 15th, 2020. Based upon the current pandemic closures, can they meet that deadline if we're still shutting down, or would you advise extending that a month or two?
Maybe we'll ask Mr. Greenis, do you think you can meet that by June 15th, or do you want it to be a little longer?
It's probably going to be longer. I'm supposed to have it done for my loan by end of June or July, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
Okay. That's a good question, Jason. Would the end of September be reasonable? Would that be reasonable?
I would be amenable to extending it to September.
Okay. Would that be reasonable, Mr. Greenis?
As far as I know, I've talked to the builder.
Okay. So in the recommended action, the conditions then will make that September 30th then, 2020. Okay. Anything else before we go to the public hearing? If not, anybody?
Mr. Greenis, Joe Persky here.
Okay.
Do you do venison sausage?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I might be out there this fall. That's all I got.
Is there anybody in the room to weigh in on this one? Nobody's in the room. You got no correspondence. So motion to close the public hearing would be in order.
Make a motion, we close the public hearing. This is Commissioner Blankish.
Okay, so Sean Blackburn moved and Rich Blankich second to close the public hearing. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The public hearing is closed. So we'll do no further discussion. Should we do the findings? Number 1, is the proposal consistent with the existing county ordinances? Please specify.
Mr. Chair, this is Jason Crone. I believe it is consistent with the land use and zoning ordinance number 439, sections 4.8, 6.5, and 9.3.5B.
Thank you, Jason. Number 2, are there any other standards, rules, or requirements that the proposal must meet?
This is Commissioner Blankish. Yes, there is. Go ahead.
The 4 conditions with number 3 is modified to September 30th.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Number 3, is the proposed use compatible with future present land uses in the area, or can it be separated by distance screening?
It's good.
It's compatible. 4, are there environmental concerns, groundwater, surface water, air quality, that should be addressed as part of the proposed request?
Nothing required, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jason. Number 5, has information been provided regarding the property values? No. 6?
No.
6, what potential public health, safety, traffic generation impacts will the proposal have in relation to the area? No change?
Minimal.
No change in minimum. 7, how does the proposal affect general health, safety, welfare of the residents? Minimum impact?
No change.
No change. 8, does the proposal conform to the goals and objectives of the county comprehensive plan?
Mr. Chair, this is Jason Crone. I believe it does. The economic development plan, goal number 2. update, diversify, and expand the manufacturing sector of the economy. Objective 1, assist businesses with job retention and expansion opportunities.
Thank you, Jason. How does the proposal affect existing public services, facilities, schools, parks, streets, and utilities?
No impact, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jason. Number 10, has the applicant provided financial assurance? It's not applicable.
Not applicable.
11, other issues pertinent to the matter. Eden Lake Township supervisors had no further comments or changes on the draft. Correct, Angie? Okay, correct. And then just another issue pertinent then would be that Commissioner Persky is going to bring sausage for venison in the fall. So with that, a motion would be in order.
I'll make the motion. This is Blinkish to approve.
Okay.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, Rich Blankish moves to recommend approval to the county board meeting on April 21st. Sean Blackburn seconds it. We'll do a roll call. Jason Wienerin,
Yes?
Sean Blackburn,
Yes.
Jason Crone,
Yes.
Ken Mossman,
Yes.
Mike Perrell,
Yes.
Rich Blankish.
Yes.
Commissioner Persky does not vote, and the chair votes aye. So the recommendation is made to the county board for April 21st recommendation. Thank you. Thank you. Good luck, Jerry.
Thank you.
Item number 4 is the consideration of the conditional use permit submitted by Milk and Honey Ciders. We have, are you Peter? Yeah. Why don't we, before we do the staff report or anything, based on information we received, we'll have one of the applicants address the planning commission at this point. So just state your name and address for the record, please, Peter.
Yeah, thank you. Peter Gillister, I'm one of the owners of Milk and Honey Cider. And I would like to request a 30-day continuance of our request. Before we get too far into this, we've been working on this project since last fall. In the last week, we've realized there's a lot of information that is circulating quickly, and this is in a time when communication is difficult. So we believe the community has partial information, the township has partial information, and we'd like a 30-day. We'd like to request a 30-day continuance, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And just to be clear, I wasn't clear, but I asked staff. You could do as much as a 60-day continuation if you wanted to, and we'd still all fall in line with everything. So just so you know, it doesn't have to be 30, it could be 60.
Okay.
You're aware of that?
Yeah, I guess we've been working on this project since last fall, so I think with 30 days, we can get in front of the township, we can get in front of the community more than we have, and we can hopefully, push this project forward.
Got it. And just for semantics purposes, if for some reason it did have to be continued, we're going to shoot for May, but if it couldn't come up in May, it could go to June then, correct?
Mr. Chair, yes, that is correct. We could hear this in May or June and be okay with our timelines.
Got it. So we can shoot for me, and then if something were to come up, Peter, then we could continue that then.
Yeah.
So obviously, unless somebody's got a problem with him, the applicant's requesting a continuation, then there's no sense in going through the staff reports and everything based on something that may change for our May meeting. Is that okay with members?
No objection.
Yep.
Don't hear any objections to that. So the May meeting would be May.
Mr. Chair, Joe Persky, I was just wondering, is it worth going back to the township as well, prior to coming to us?
The township, My understanding is they were notified,
Mr. Chair.
and they were collecting comments. So they haven't submitted their comments yet.
Mr. Chair, we did receive an email with individual comments from the township. They didn't meet collectively and discuss it. Peter indicated sounds like he was going to try and get to the township and discuss it with them before we bring it back.
Got it. And then it would be helpful, just let the township know it would be helpful on what that application's gonna look like in May if they did weigh in and share their thoughts with us on that.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, Jason Wienerman here. When we do hear this item at May or June, will all the public comments be included on the new item?
I did ask staff that before the meeting, and they said yes, the comments that we received to date would be submitted. The application may be changed, and there will be another notice to the public. Normally, we don't notice it to the public, but staff agreed to notice it to the public a second time, and so they will be noticed, and there obviously will be a second round of public comments, probably more specific than to any changes that might be made to the application that comes before us in either May or June. So the answer is yes. We'll get, obviously, let's all keep our comments that we got to date. They will be resubmitted at the next meeting when this is considered, and it will be re-noticed, and I'm sure we'll receive additional comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would
Peter.
like the opportunity to address some of the issues and paint sort of a larger picture of what we're trying to do, if there is time this evening.
Why don't you do that? And again, this won't be specific then, but why don't you just limit it to a couple of minutes of what the big goal is, and then what we might be seeing. We'll skip the staff report and everything. We'll just do this instead then. Thank you.
All right, no, thank you. So I guess in larger terms, what we're trying to do is kind of a continuation to what we've been doing in this county since 2011. We admit that this is a unique business, but our focus, is still on, making, celebrating, educating, and selling cider as a sort of agricultural product, as a culturally and historically important beverage. Our venture out there has continued to see success, and we would like to grow the opportunity. So what, in short, what we're trying to do is ask for another structure out on that property, and then ask for more guests to be allowed to use it. In short, this is a pavilion. We need part of the year to get equipment and inventory undercover for the manufacturing facility. We also are looking to get people undercover. So as you know, in Minnesota, we have a pretty narrow opportunity. Our warm weather months are pretty limited, and if people want to come out to the country and enjoy rural Stearns County, we'd like the opportunity to serve them. I did include a little bit more information about our company in the packet, and I would sort of encourage what we have seen a lot, I guess, over the past week is sort of a mischaracterization of what we're doing, what we're about. And I just included that more information about our company and what we're doing. We did send this to the community members, and I think it's important that the Planning Commission also understand that. There are some issues that were brought up, and broadly, we're taking steps to address those. If you'll see in your packet, we have basically a few changes requested to our original conditional use permit. So this came before this board about 3 years ago, this time of the year, And we're essentially, now that the business is running, clarifying some of those issues and continuing what we proposed back then. I think in short, like I said, we'd like to add the pavilion, and then we'd like to increase our capacity so that more than 300 people could be on the property. You guys all have received information and public comments, and a lot of those issues are new to us in the last week. We're learning about them for the first time in many cases, and we're trying to address that. So the document where we have highlighted the issues expressed via comments and conversations, and then our possible solutions. I'd encourage you guys to review that. In short, we have issues with people turning around in the neighbor's driveway. That is a new issue to us, and we have 3 action items to address that. The first being is something as simple as trimming some brush and trees so that people can see the signs as they approach from the east. Moving Google Maps pin, so a lot of people use GPS navigation to get there, and we're going to move that further down so it doesn't cause an issue. And then we've discussed adding a second sign further down that marks the cidery as the next right. The other issue is our outdoor music. This is something that was addressed in our 2017 CUP, that we could have live outdoor music as long as it ended by 10 p.m. We have been made aware by some of the neighbors that specifically the bass is bothering them. It's leaving the property. And we have, again, some action items there. Just continue to work with our sound engineer to change the levels based upon the conditions, wind and humidity and whatnot of that day. We are, as part of this proposal, like to move our existing music area 300 feet further to the northeast. This would move it away from the neighbors' homes towards the freeway, and then be blocked even that much more by our building. Continue our 10 p.m. cutoff time, and then do a better job of informing the neighbors of when this occurs. In the last 2 years, we've done 8 to 10 outdoor musical acts per year. These are 90 to 120 minutes long. And we realize that we can do a better job with mitigating that. I would say that this is an agricultural area. Other possible noises such as a corn dryer running for months. We have gravel pits in agricultural areas that run 24/7, and we have tractors and whatnot too that also need to run. So we hope that 2-hour shows, a limited amount of time per year, is something that we can work towards. The last issue, and this I'd really like to address this as a safety thing, is parking on County Road 51. There's been some comments where that this is occurring or even encouraged by our company. That's something that we've never allowed or supported. We've taken multiple steps to discourage this. We put no parking signs on. We've rented out the neighbor's parking lot and hired passenger buses to move people. We do this every time we feel that we may hit something where parking on site may be exceeded. Sometimes we rent these facilities and rent these buses and they're not used at all, but it's our commitment to keep people off that county road. And so I think that's a mischaracterization that we're using that road at all other than for transportation. Some other minor issues that we've been addressed. The one thing that I think holds a lot of weight is the comments from the The township, we will be getting in front of them before the next meeting. And that's, I don't know if the township is aware of our efforts about getting a stormwater plan. We have an agreement with the county to get that done. We do not want more impervious surfaces out there. We did purchase 5 acres this past winter, an old hayfield essentially, so that, you know, the half a dozen times a year where we may have to use that, and the ground conditions are allowed it, that we can do that. And so again, this just highlights some of the partial information out there that we need to get in front of the township, and that we'd love to keep working with the community and trying to get this project done.
Okay, thank you. And I encourage you to meet with the Soil and Water as well. They submitted comments, and talk to them, and they maybe can revise their comments as well then. So if I understand this right, the motion would be in order to continue this to the May meeting? And what's that date? Somebody?
May 21st.
May 21st. So the motion would be in order to move for continuation to May 21st?
This is Commissioner Blankish. I'll make the motion that we table this till the meeting.
Okay, motion's been made to continue it to the May 21st Planning Commission meeting. Who seconded, I'm sorry?
Mike Prell.
Mike Burrell seconded it. Any discussion? If not, we're going to do a roll call on the motion. Excuse me?
Chair Joe Persky, just a couple of items.
You almost shot me there, Joe.
I did talk to the county engineer about the parking on the road there. She mentioned that we can, if we would like, we can prohibit parking. That would come through the sheriff's department if necessary, and then they would then be able to post that. If it's an issue at this time, we can do it, or if we want to wait to see if the expansion would go through, we could do it at that time so that there would be no parking on 51 by the event.
I'd recommend that we wait until we deal with the issue and then address it accordingly.
Okay, the other item, I saw in the application that they also had mentioned perhaps the potential of 2 additional hours to go till midnight. With that, I guess I would be concerned about the Kramer Lake, and I wouldn't mind to hear from the Lake Association to weigh in on the topic.
Okay, you probably can talk to them, and they probably can do that when we do take it up in May then.
Okay.
Okay, so there's been a motion to continue it with a second. Any further discussion? If not, we'll do the roll call on that motion. Jason Wiederman?
Yeah.
Sean Blackburn?
Aye.
Jason Crone?
Yes.
Ken Mossman?
Aye.
Mike Perrell?
Aye.
Rich Blankish? Did he vote?
Was that a yes?
Rich Blankish?
Yes, can't you hear me?
We couldn't, but now we could. Thank you. Commissioner Persky doesn't vote, and the chair votes aye. So the motions, the continuation motion is approved. That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Angie Berg, I've been asked by the control room to remind the members calling in to be on mute. There's significant feedback, especially when they're not going to be talking. Thank you.
Did you hear that, members? Please turn your mic on mute when you're not talking. Thank you. Whoever this person is. Item number 5. Item number 5 is the request for conditional use permit submitted by the United Methodist Church, Cronus Ministries, Painesville. We'll have the staff report.
This request is to construct a new meeting and dining center in the R1 and R5 zoning district. The proposal is located in Section 29 of Painesville Township, lying between Lake Avenue and Lake Coronis. The address is 15752 Lake Avenue, Painesville. So this is properties better known as Coronis Ministries. They have a meeting/dining I take that back. They have a meeting area or structure that they removed 3 or 4 years ago, and they're now in a place where they're ready to rebuild this structure. So they're before us for a conditional use permit to be allowed to rebuild that structure. The new building will be slightly smaller than the original building, and a little bit shorter to comply with the county height limitation in shoreland. The stormwater management plan has been prepared to accommodate stormwater runoff from this new building. It's not finalized yet, but that's in process of being reviewed and developed. What they will end up with is a stormwater structure to capture an infiltration basin to capture runoff from this new building and prevent it from leaving the property or entering the lake. And that is shown on the site plans within your packets, page 104. The density on the property does comply with density limitations for this development. Impervious lot coverage is met. The septic system on the property that serves the building has been inspected. It's not in compliance, so they know they're working with a septic professional to develop plans to replace and upgrade that system. The shoreline recreational facilities and shore impact zone are in compliance with the requirements. Parking on the property, a parking plan was submitted showing where they have parking. They do have parking within the property. And then they also have overflow parking on the west side of Lake Avenue. There's a pedestrian access under Lake Avenue that they use to get between the two sides of their development. So I did receive a parking plan, and Angie could pull that up for us if needed. But essentially, they've got parking space within the area that we're looking at for about 82 vehicles, and then there's a pedestrian access under the road, and then they have additional parking on the other side. All right, if the Planning Commission were to recommend approval, the conditions we would recommend considering would be that they would submit an approved stormwater management plan. Along with that comes a requirement for a financial guarantee to ensure that that gets implemented. Stormwater facility, a deadline to install. We would suggest having a deadline. In talking with the property owner, they suggested that June, or I believe it was July 1st of 2022 would be, 2021 would be doable. July 1st of 2021. That would give them over a year to get that put in, so that's a date to consider. The stormwater facilities shall be maintained in perpetuity in accordance with the maintenance plan. The financial guarantee would be released upon approval from a professional engineer that the facility was put in properly. So another condition to consider would be that the property lies within a native plant community and is subject to the county zoning ordinance regulations for native plant communities. Clearing of vegetation is regulated by the ordinance. They would submit a certificate of occupancy from the state, Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry, and the Fire Marshal's Office before using the structure by the public. And lastly, that the open space shown on the survey shall remain as open space. So that would be a total of 4 recommended conditions.
Okay. Mr. Ziegler's here. State your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Dan Ziegler. I'm Executive Director at Coronis Ministries, Painesville Township.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Anything you want to add to the staff report at this point?
If I could just give you a little context for the building. This ministry is almost 100 years old. We purchased it. The United Methodist Church, or what has become the United Methodist Church, purchased it in 1921. In 1922, our first structures were built on the shores of Lake Coronis. One of them was a tabernacle. It was our large meeting facility, kind of a big semi-open air pavilion. Sat at its peak about 1,500 people, although it was later modified. 93 years later, the building needed a lot of work in its roof. It was tired. It was never meant to be, I don't think, a 100-year building. And it was only a seasonal building. It was not ADA compliant. It was not fire protected. It was our main meeting facility for the camp and retreat center. And so we made the decision to tear it down rather than put tremendous amount of resources into a building that was only still antiquated and insufficient, with the hopes of raising funds to replace that building with another meeting and dining structure. Number of things that new meeting and dining structure does for us: it brings our facility, our main meeting facility, up to year-round use. We're now a thriving year-round camp and retreat center, serving about 7,000 people a year, employing about 17 year-round employees and up to maybe close to 50 in the summer. And so this building will be our main meeting facility. We also propose moving our dining and kitchen into this new building. It does a couple of things. It addresses those safety issues of fire compliance and also ADA compatibility. It also helps use our land better. By putting the dining and kitchen in this area, we are able to take the kitchen off of Lakeview Lodge. That was a grandfathered kitchen extension that was within 50 feet of the lake, and so we'll be able to be set back further from the lake in the Lakeview building. We also are making this building smaller and lower than the original building, so it's even set back from the lake a little further. So we're using our land better, we're using it more efficiently, and we feel good about that as stewards of the land. This building is really important to our future because it is the largest meeting room on the facility, and it's really necessary for our larger groups as a conference center. It became more necessary when, in December, a fire destroyed our kitchen. And so we have needed to prioritize this building, and especially the dining and kitchen part of this building, which was going to be a secondary addition, now becomes a little more primary, and we're going to be working toward that as quickly as we can. So that's the hope with this building. It helps us to use the land better. It helps us to serve our guests better. It doesn't add anything to capacity. In fact, in some ways, it's smaller than the former tabernacle in seating capacity and dining capacity. It's kind of right-sized for what we do right now, but we're not growing in land use. We're not growing in terms of capacity for guests here, but we're just using our space better. We're also blessed with a beautiful 185-acre facility. Our nearest neighbor to the retreat center proper is about a quarter mile away on all sides. We have woods all around us and about a half-mile lake frontage. The majority of that lake frontage is in a natural state. I think we're one of the larger lake owners on Lake Coronis, and a lot of that lake frontage is in its natural state, and we want to keep it that way. We have a very high environmental ethic and want to be good stewards of this beautiful property that we've been given.
Thank you. We'll do a roll call on the members who visited the site. Jason Wienerin. Jason?
Yes.
Were you on the site?
Yes, I was.
Sean Blackburn?
Yes.
Jason Crone?
Yes.
Ken Mossman?
Yes, I was.
Mike Perrell?
Yes.
Richard Blankish?
Yes, I was.
Commissioner Persky?
Yes.
And I was, of course, too. I had to drive the furthest, a mile or two. Staff report, anything more you want to add? Jen?
I don't have anything more to add to the staff report, and when you open the public hearing, I do have one letter.
Okay. Any discussion by members? Any questions? Joe?
None for me.
No, we're good.
Okay.
Good.
So we'll open the we'll open the public hearing. There's nobody in the room other than Mr. Ziegler and staff, so I assume no one's in the room, and you did get one letter. So Jen, please read that letter into the record.
This letter is addressed to the Stearns County Planning Commission from Paul Bugby, Bugby Hive Resort, in consideration of the restricted meeting and gathering mandates imposed by COVID-19. I'm writing to express my support for the request for a meeting and dining center. Coronis Ministries, formerly known as Lake Coronis Assembly Grounds, has been a landmark institution, church camp and retreat center on the shores of Lake Coronis for 100 years. It has served countless thousands of adults, children, and families throughout time, from generation to generation, offering a glimpse of central Minnesota's finest lake resources and natural environmental surround. The camp is undeniably the focal point of Paynesville Township and Lake Coronis. Frequently throughout my life, when I make mention of Paynesville or Lake Coronis, people respond with fond memories of their childhood experiences while visiting the camp. The proposed meeting and dining center is an integral component for Coronis Ministries, which will allow larger indoor gatherings for multi-denominational meetings, presentations, and events, which all contribute to the excellent ministry and outreach of the United Methodist Church. As an adjacent property owner and businessman, I feel fortunate to have the Coronis Ministries as my neighbor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I was going to say that no matter where I've been around the world, if I said Paynesville, Coronis Ministries was the first thing that usually came up, so it certainly has been an institution. Any discussion from members, questions before we go to the findings?
Should close the public hearing.
Not sure what that was, but we're looking for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that.
Rich Blankish moved to close the public hearing. Jason Wiederman seconded it. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Public hearing is closed. Let's go to the findings. If you can keep this screen up all the time, that would be better, because I look a lot better on there than I do. Number one, is the proposal consistent with the existing county ordinance? Please specify.
Mr. Chair, Jason Crone here. I believe that it does, from the land use and zoning ordinance number 439, sections 4.8 and 10.2.23.
Thank you, Jason. Are there any other standards, rules, requirements that the proposal must meet?
Mr. Chair, go ahead. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay, this is Rich Blinky. On the conditions, there were 4 conditions, I believe.
Yes.
You weren't numbered right?
Yes.
Okay, so, yeah, there were 4 proposed conditions.
Mr. Chair, do we have a date? Should we have that July 30th date for the stormwater?
The date was July 1st, 2021.
Okay.
Yep, the conditions with that date, 4 conditions. Number 3, thank you, Rich. 3 and Jason. 3, is the proposed use compatible with the present, future land uses in the area? Can it be separated by distance or screening from adjacent land uses?
It is compatible, Mr. Chair. Jason Wienerman here.
Thank you. Are the environmental concerns, groundwater, surface water, air quality, should be addressed as part of the proposed request? They are. By the conditions. 5, has information been provided because of property taxes? Regarding property taxes, no. 6, what potential public health, safety, traffic generation impacts will the proposal have in relation to the area? Should really be no change. 7, how does the proposal affect general health, safety, welfare of the residents?
No change.
No change. 8, does the proposal conform to the goals and objectives of the county comprehensive plan?
Chair, I believe it does a few ways, but particularly in this case, land use plan, growth and development, goal number 4, sustain the current livability and diversity of Stearns County. Objective 3, respect and preserve architectural, archaeological, and cultural history, which I think applies really well in this case.
Thank you, Jason. 9, how does the proposal affect existing public services, schools, parks, streets, and utilities?
Okay.
No effect. I'm not sure, did we hear that?
He said no change.
Yep. 10, has the applicant, number 10, has the applicant provided financial assurance to guarantee cleanup, reclamation? That's not applicable. 11, other issues pertinent to the matter. Painesville Township had a board meeting on the 13th. Did we get comments from them by chance, Angie?
Mr. Chair, Angie Berg, we did not get comments from Painesville Township. I contacted them early on. I also called them the day of their meeting and heard from the clerk that he requested the information to be submitted, and he was unsuccessful in getting his board to do that.
Okay. Neither here nor there, but just a fact. Okay, so a motion would be in order to recommend approval to the county board.
Mr. Chair, this is Jason Kroon. I would make a motion to recommend approval to the board with the 4 conditions.
Mr. Chair, I will second that. That's Rich.
Thank you, Jason and Rich. Motion and seconded to recommend approval to the county board, April 21st. All those in favor say aye. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to do the roll call. Whoops, almost forgot. Jason Wienerman,
Yes.
John Blackburn,
Aye.
Jason Crone,
Yes.
Ken Mossman,
Aye.
Mike Perrell,
Aye.
Rich Blankish,
Yes.
Commissioner Persky doesn't vote, and the chair votes aye. So the motion to recommend approval is approved. Good luck. We'll go to item number 6. Consider a rezoning request submitted by Robert Perscella, RDF Investments. Staff report.
This is a request for rezoning submitted by Robert Perscella for RDP Investments Limited Partnership, Painesville, Minnesota. The request is to rezone a 40-acre parcel from A40 to R5. The property is located in Section 36 of St. Wendell Township, lying east of County Road 133. Do we want to see if Mr. Perscella is on the line?
Mr. Perscella, are you on the line?
I think I can talk to you.
Okay. What we need to do, somebody's going to find out who's got the radio on in the background or the TV. Oh, it's a meeting? You need to mute your phones, please. Major feedback coming right now. That's better. That's good.
Can you hear me?
Is this Mr. Perscella?
Yes, this is Robert Perscella.
Okay, yep, we can hear you. So just introduce your name and the address for the record, please.
My address is 16. Sorry, I have a mental block in here. It's not 16308. That's my other one. 24816 Crescent Green Road, Painesville, Minnesota.
Shelley's got a question for you.
Mr. Perscella, do you have the meeting on an iPad or a laptop right now?
I'm looking at my laptop and I'm talking through my cell phone.
Okay, so on the laptop, you need to turn it the volume all the way to 0 or mute the laptop because it's getting feedback with your phone.
The laptop is muted. Let me do something here.
It could be somebody else.
It might be someone else, but everyone else should be muted except Mr. Perscala right now.
Okay, let's try it again.
Okay.
How's it now?
Much better.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything you want to add to the staff report?
Should I go through it quick?
Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't do it yet.
Okay, I'll summarize the staff report here briefly.
Okay, everybody mute again now before when we hear the staff report.
Mr. Perscala, if you mute the phone right now, which is *5,
*5.
then we should be able to hear everything.
Okay, let's try it, Jen.
Okay, so we're looking at a 40-acre property in St. Wendell Township, requesting to go from A40 to R5. As you can see on the aerial photography, and if you visited the site, it's primarily an agricultural field at this time with a wetland in the northwest corner. The property has access just from the county road, 133. The surrounding area that we're in a kind of a corner here. To the east is Leasock Township, and to the southeast is, or south is St. Joe Township. We got City of St. Cloud, City of Sartell very close by as well. If the rezoning is approved, the base density allowed would be 8 residential lots. If they did a cluster development, there could be up to 12 residential lots. When we look at our comprehensive plan, this is in an urban expansion future land use area. We did run the LISA score on the property. It is 72.9, so it's scored above the threshold of 65. Mr. Perscala went to the Township Planning Commission and Township Board, and they did recommend approval of the rezoning request.
Okay.
And that's all I have for the staff report.
Anything you want to add to the staff report, Mr. Perscala?
No, I believe she covered that.
Okay, we'll do a roll call on who did a site review. Jason Wienerin,
Yes, I did, Mr. Chair.
Sean Blackburn,
Yep.
Jason Crone,
Yes.
Ken Mossman,
Yes, I did.
Mike Perrell,
Yes.
Richard Blankish,
Yes, I did.
Commissioner Persky,
Yes, I was there.
and I did as well. So we'll do anything more to the staff report, Jen?
Nope.
Okay. Any discussion by commission before we go to the public hearing? Any questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, Jason Wienerman here. Question for the staff. So with the wetland on the site, do you know how many acres are buildable?
Jen?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I don't have an exact acreage on the number that would be buildable. The wetland maybe looks to be in the neighborhood of 5 acres or so.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, Joe Persky. Say, I'm just a little bit concerned about the location. You know, this becomes very close also now to St. Cloud. It's also not too far from, obviously, Sartell Water Treatment Plant. How close is this as far as development actually within the city? Just curious if that's an issue or not, if that's been an idea or if it's been approached. I don't know if would it actually lie within or next to St. Joe or St. Cloud.
Jen?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Persky, if you're looking at your video, we put a map up on the screen that shows the current municipal sewer for Sartell. So the pen is pointing to the property in question, the 40 acres that would like to be rezoned. And the green lines on the map are the city of Sartell's current water and sewer lines. So they are within less than 3/4 of a mile, maybe about a half a mile away.
And then if you go to the other map that you had up with the city,
Yep.
I think it was on the one that was on the screen before.
Sure. And then we'll switch to this, this other aerial view. The property in question is outlined in blue.
And then you can see that the other is the city of St. Cloud, and their water and sewer services extend into that.
Yeah, that development, that small lot development to the southeast is St. Cloud. So those services would be within about a 1/4 mile. And then directly south, the pink directly south would be city of St. Joe.
And I didn't get their information.
So we are very close to 3 municipal areas here. We sent notice to all 3 cities. We did not get any feedback from them as to how quickly they are planning on putting services this far. We haven't heard from them.
Is the property?
Okay, I don't necessarily have a strong opinion one way or another, but I just think that, as far as future planning is concerned, that we would consider that.
Is the property, Jen, to the east and to the, what would that be, southeast? There's 3 squares there, so
Yes.
immediately to the right and below, is that 100% farmland? The yellow?
Yes, it does appear to be all farmed. This photo is a couple years old, but yeah, and that is actually owned by the same property owner, Mr. Priscilla.
Got it. And what about straight north? That looks like it's farmland as well.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Okay. Any questions?
I'm hearing something from Jason.
Jason.
Yeah, this is Jason Freeman. Mr. Chair, question, if this, were to be rezoned as requested, just so I understand the process fully, there is then a platting process that takes place after the fact to determine where lots and access to county roads and all of that would take place. Is that accurate?
Mr. Chair, Commission members, yes, that would be correct. If the rezoning is approved, the next step would be a platting process where we would get into a lot of detail about lot locations and access locations and that kind of thing.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, Mike Brown.
Yes, Mike?
Leaning towards where it's located, development would be a better option for the future.
Did you hear that question?
Didn't quite
Try
understand
to
it.
state that again, Mike. We couldn't quite hear that.
I'm sort of leaning towards a cluster development for the future.
Cluster development?
Has Mr. Priscilla considered annexation?
Have you, Mr. Priscilla, Shelley wants to know, have you considered annexation?
We've considered it. I don't believe St. Cloud will go out that far, and Sartell has expressed their desire to just do high-density housing. We don't plan on doing that. We want places to have, decent-sized lots and more of an agricultural feel, more of a rural feel than that row housing that's to the southeast.
Okay.
I'm curious, what was the conversation? How long was it at the township board meeting?
St. Wendell Township was very receptive to it. I think that they are, the development is kind of inevitable in that area anyway, and they agreed with me that the high density housing kind of takes a lot away from the neighboring landowners, most of which are my relatives. So I really kind of hate to see that cookie cutter kind of development coming out that way. But if we could create a buffer zone of some more high-end homes with larger lots and more of a green, that's kind of what our goal is.
And I'm curious, what's your reaction to taking, relatively decent farmland and just making big lots and building big houses on them? You obviously don't probably have a issue with that.
Well, I understand that, it's definitely going to take away from the rural nature of the area, but I don't see that there's really any getting around the fact that it's probably all going to be developed in the next 25 years. I know my sister is tuned in as well, and she actually met with the planning commission for Sartell itself, and they laid out their 25 plan, and that's why we focused more on the St. Wendell Township 40 because they were not real receptive, and we just this is my dad bought this land from my grandfather, and we put it in the partnerships just for this purpose, so that we would have a nest egg to retire with, and that's kind of what we're looking at doing right now, and hopefully we can get it done.
Okay, any other questions from members? Otherwise, we'll go to the public hearing.
Mr. Chair, one more question for the applicant. Just kind of curious why this particular 40 was selected over maybe the one that comes off of 322nd Street.
That was Jason Crone with a question of Mr. Perskella.
Could you repeat the question?
Mr. Perskella.
Yes.
Well, go ahead, Jason.
Curious, just thinking ahead to the platting process, out of curiosity, why this particular 40 was selected, the one on County Road 133, instead of to the southeast off of 322nd Street. Is there a particular reason you selected this 40 to start?
Yeah, it was the fact that this 40 lies in Leasock Township as opposed to the other two 40s which lie in this 40 lies in St. Wendell Township. The other two are in Leasock Township, and Leasock Township is basically Sartell. And if you I'm sure my sister could probably interject more information, because she actually met with Sartell, why they discouraged us from pursuing anything in that area. I believe they told her it's just not in the plans for another 25 years, and then we tend to focus more on high-density housing than the large lot size, the R5.
Okay, thank you. I didn't follow that earlier, but now I remember you referencing the Sartell discussion. I didn't realize it was for those two parcels. So, thank you.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing. There's no one in the room. Did you get any written testimony, Jen?
Yes, I've got two letters here. The first one is from Bob and Kathy Lutz. We support the rezoning application of RDP Investments Limited Partnership. We live on 72nd Avenue North across 322nd from this property. We have a clear and unobstructed view of the land from our living room, patio, and backyard. We enjoy our current view, but believe the development will be a positive change for the neighborhood. And then I received a letter from Jerry and Mary Jane Rudy. They indicate that having a housing development on County Road 133 is a safety concern for us. The speed limit through this area would need to be reduced so the residents can enter and exit from County Road 133 without injury. From our experience when turning into our driveway. Nearly half the vehicles pass us on the shoulder at a high speed. It's just a matter of time before a County Road 133 resident gets hit. The speed limit on this road is 55 miles per hour, but because this road is unpatrolled, I would say the average speed is 65. We are not in favor of this property being rezoned due to safety issues. Thank you, Jerry and Mary Jane Rudy, 32279 County Road 130.
Okay. Is there anyone online or anyone? Okay. We can close the public hearing then. Motion would be in order.
Mr. Chair, this is Jason Cronin. Make a motion to close the public hearing.
I think that was Jason.
Jason Wienerman, second.
Jason Crone moved. Jason Wienerman seconded. Jason 1 and 2. Close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Public hearing is closed. Discussion. Any discussion? If not, we'll go to the findings. Does the proposal conform to the county's comprehensive plan? Why or why not? Future land use map, policy area map, goals and objectives.
Mr. Chair, this is Jason Crone. I do believe it does conform under future land use and urban expansion. I scroll down, there are a variety of ways that it applies, particularly under land use plan, growth and development goal number 3, manage the impacts of growth and development on the county's rural character. Identify appropriate areas for commercial, industrial, and non-farm rural residential development.
Any other input? I think it doesn't, I guess, comply, but we're probably not going to, all the members aren't going to see what they're thinking, because every time we weigh in on this, the county board votes to approve it anyway, but I think we all know that this is 72 Lisa score egg land, and it's just getting whittled away in St. Wendell Township piece by piece, but I'm not going to lead the charge against it either, but I guess I'll just say what everybody's thinking without saying it. Number 2, is a proposed rezoning compatible?
Chair, Commissioner Persky. If I look at the expansion over, the next 20 years, and of course, again, where that water treatment plant is in Sartell there, and where the development on the west side of St. Cloud is, the houses will come out there. I'm not going to try to stop this, but I guess I would have liked to see maybe the other piece develop and actually be City of St. Cloud residential. If Sartell would have let that go. We have overlapping townships there. We've got Leasock, we've got St. Wendell, we got St. Joe, and we've got City of St. Cloud all right there. Coordination between all the entities would help, but it's not happening.
And agriculture continues to be, one of the top 3 priorities in the county, and by taking agricultural land out of production like this, piece by piece by piece, we're not applying to that, in my opinion, but like I said, I'm not going to leave.
Mr. Chair, this is Jason Crone. I hear where you're coming from there. Based on this property, kind of as Commissioner Persky just mentioned, I don't know realistically, as you look out beyond the next 10 to 20 years, that it's realistic that that property, that entire area remains agriculture. There's encouragement from multiple cities and just expansion. I think it conforms if you look at long term. You know, the question is how, in what form of development, and I think a lot of that can be resolved later. But, it's always a tricky one, but this particular property, I think, is definitely an exception to other areas of the county, which are, to me, long-term, more agriculturally focused.
Who's that last speaker?
Jason.
Oh, it's still Jason? I thought somebody else spoke. You changed your tone. Okay. Number 2, is the proposed rezoning compatible with future land uses in the area? Present zoning, future land use map, Lisa score.
Mr. Chair, Jason Wienerman here. I do believe it is compatible with the proposed future zoning of the area. However, as per the previous discussion regarding loss of ag land and the high Lisa score, that is a concern. But I do think we're headed for development in this area sometime. So it's how do you balance what's coming with what's there already. But I do believe it is compatible with the future desired land use.
And I'll say that I don't think it is compatible because it's zoned 840. The Lisa score is 72, what? 72 something?
72.9.
72.9. And it is agricultural land. I don't disagree that one day it may be developed, but again, unfortunately, the township hasn't taken the bull by the horns. Do you have planned growth where you can build 20 homes on a 40-acre plot or something that's more user-friendly of agricultural land? Or do we just do these willy-nilly piecemeal and just blow 40 acres and build one or maybe 2 houses? So I agree that the growth will be there, but as we all know, planned growth, and even for the owners of the land, long-term is more valuable than just popping these in like they're being popped in St. Wendell. But again, we're not going to stop that. I think some of the comments that were made earlier, we couldn't hear the conversation from LaSac Township, but it's interesting that LaSac isn't open to it. So something must be going on 30 years from now, maybe, but obviously not now. So, but again, the train's left the station. Number 3, are there environmental concerns that should be considered as part of the rezoning request?
Mr. Chair, just a recognition for the wetland up in the northwest corner. That should be protected and not reduced through growth and development.
Okay, let's go with that. Number 4, information and property taxes, values, nope, we didn't get that. 5, is there a potential for public health, safety, traffic generation impacts?
Mr. Chair, this is Jason Cohen. I believe there is potential for public health, safety, or traffic generation impacts based on the amount of traffic on County Road 133. Again, that's down the road after platting, but this would have the potential to impact that.
Okay, number 6, how does the rezoning affect existing public services, including schools, parks, streets, utilities?
Mr. Chair, likely to see a long-term increase in the use of these facilities as the houses are built and families move in.
Okay, other issues pertinent to this matter? No comments from the township other than what we have in our packet.
Correct.
Okay. Motion would be in order.
Mr. Chair, Jason Wienerman, I move that we approve the application to the county, the recommendation to approve to the county board.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Jason Cronin, second.
Okay, Jason Wienerman moved to recommend approval to the county board on April 21st. Jason Crone second that motion. We'll do a roll call. Well, let's do it just for the giggles of it. Let's do it reverse. The chair votes no. Commissioner Persky doesn't vote. Richard Blankish?
Yes.
Mike Perrell?
No.
Ken Mossman? Ken Mossman, are we there?
Aye.
Jason Crone?
Yes.
Sean Blackburn?
Aye.
Jason Wienerman?
Yes.
So the recommendation to the county board passes. Jen?
Mr. Chair, Planning Commission members, the applicant has requested, if the Planning Commission recommended approval, the applicant requested that we postpone bringing it to the county board for a decision for a few months. So we will mention that to the county board on Tuesday and let them decide from there.
Do we know why?
What he mentioned was to pursue finding a developer, I believe. We could see if he's still on board to answer.
You want to answer that, Mr. Perskella?
Yeah, we you know, with the way things have been, you know, we started this all alone before the global epidemic, and so we would like to buy some time to secure a buyer, hopefully.
Heck of a way to plan, boys. Well, that's up to the county board how they want to do it, so we recommended approval to the April 21st board, and the county board can decide from there. Okay, next item will be the solar farm discussion with county attorney. Do we have Chad on the phone?
Yes, I'm here. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Can you make sure everybody's muted?
Shelley wants me to remind everybody to mute your phone, because what Chad's got to say, when we're lucky enough to have Chad with us, we want to hear everything he's saying. Go ahead, Chad. Ernie, do we have Chad on the phone?
Yes, I'm here. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're getting,
Make sure everybody's muted.
Shelley wants me to remind everybody to mute your phone, because what Chad's got to say, when we're lucky enough to have Chad with us, we want to hear everything he's saying. Go ahead, Chad. Ernie, do we have Chad on the phone?
Yep. Yes, I'm here. Can everyone hear me?
Can you turn your video off, actually? Turn your meeting
we're
off,
getting,
because right now we're not going to be able to hear you.
Shelley wants me to remind everybody to mute your phone, because what Chad's got to say, when we're lucky enough to have Chad with us, we want to hear everything
Okay,
he's saying.
it should catch up in just a second.
Go ahead, Chad. Ernie, do we have Chad on the phone?
Yep. Yes, I'm here. Can everyone hear me?
Can you turn your video off, actually? Turn your meeting off, because right now we're not going to be able to hear you.
Shelley wants me to remind everybody to mute your phone, because what Chad's got to say, when we're lucky enough to have Chad with us, we want to hear everything
Okay,
he's saying.
it should catch up in just a second.
Go ahead, Chad. Ernie, do we have Chad on the phone?
Yep. Yes, I'm here. Can everyone hear me?
Can you turn your video off, actually? Turn your meeting off, because right now we're not going to be able to
We're
hear
having
you.
issues here, just hang tight. Remind everybody to mute your phone, because what Chad's got to say, when we're lucky enough
somebody
to have
still
Chad
has
with
their
us, we want to
computer
hear
on.
everything
Okay,
he's saying.
it should catch up in just a second.
Go ahead, Chad. Ernie, do we have Chad on the phone?
Yep. Yes, I'm here. Can everyone hear me?
Can you turn your video off, actually? Turn your meeting
we're
off,
getting,
because right now we're not going to be able to
We're
hear
having
you.
issues here, just hang tight. Remind everybody to mute your phone, because what Chad's got to say, when we're lucky enough
somebody
to have
still
Chad
has
with
their
us, we want to
computer
hear
on.
everything
Okay,
he's saying.
it should catch up in just a second.
Go ahead, Chad. Ernie, do we have Chad on the phone?
Yep. Yes, I'm here. Can everyone hear me?
Can you turn your video off, actually? Turn your meeting off,
getting,
because right now we're not going to be able to
We're
hear
having
you.
issues here, just hang tight. Remind everybody to mute your phone, because what Chad's got to say, when we're lucky enough
somebody
to have
still
Chad
has their
with us, we want to
computer
hear
on.
everything
Okay,
he's saying. Can everybody hear me now? Can everybody hear me?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, Chad.
Okay, just we're having some technical issues here. I think we might have it figured out. So if everybody can hear me, then let's try this again. We have Chad May from the County Attorney's Office to discuss the solar discussion. So go ahead, Mr. May.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair and Commission members. Just here to discuss the issue that you guys have been dealing with regarding solar farm decommissioning, specifically the financial guarantees that we look for as the county when we're looking at the potential future or imminent future decommissioning that's going to be happening on these in the future.
Okay.
I know that I've been working with Angie on this, and I know that we have always accepted cash in the amounts that we were requiring. We also do have a template that we use for letters of credit from financial institutions within 100 miles of our location. The question, I think, one of the main things we need to look at is the amount that we are requiring, and we need to kind of look at what's happening with the rest of the state in regards to this. It's mainly due to the fact that there have not been a lot of decommissioned or really any decommissioned solar farms, so those costs are, I think the idea is they're increasing to an extent more than we initially thought, so I think we are going to be seeing a higher amount that's required as part of a financial guarantee. And so as far as the amount, that's something we can discuss. And then in terms of what we're requesting, our ordinance does allow for cash escrow, letters of credit, and also bond. We kind of treat them in that hierarchy. Obviously, as Randy Moss once said, straight cash, homie, is always the best. And that's kind of what it is. And then after that, cash escrow, and then letters of credit. We've been hesitant to allow bonds just due to the additional requirements that would be in place in the event that we went to collect on that. Also, due to the nature of these solar farms, because of the number of parties and entities involved, it gets a little bit problematic for us as well.
How does that change, Chad, when ownership changes of the projects?
Right, and that's the other part. Due to these numerous entities and developers that come in, that's why we always want to go with the initial group that's coming in to get. And I think that's why what we've been trying to do is really get that amount that we have determined up front as part of that conditional use permit, because we're looking at it and not wanting to necessarily sort that out later. And so I think that's one aspect we have to look at.
So if a developer, we had one project, that sold twice in a year. So if a developer puts the cash escrow, developer A puts the cash escrow in, sells the project to another developer, does that cash stay there? Or does that cash get removed and then replaced by the second developer?
What we would do is have that as part of the escrow agreement. We could make sure to address that. And another part is Angie and I are working on a Stearns County escrow agreement that we're going to try to get out there and use every time so that it's uniform for you guys, for Angie, for Environmental Services, and for us. That way we're kind of doing it consistent and with intention. And that would be certainly something we would want to address and make sure that's there as well.
Because right now, my understanding is we don't even get notified or sometimes even know that the project's been sold.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely include that as part of that. In the event that we do those escrow agreements, we can have that as a provision.
That was kind of a question. Do you know that that's happening? I mean, that projects are being sold, and there's no requirement that anyone has to notify us.
Yeah, I think, I haven't been dealing with a ton of these. I know that we've requested cash, and so we have it. And it's not being given back on the event of a sale, so we would still have that, I believe. But perhaps Angie would know more on that.
And if you're making notes, you might want to just make a note that I think we should have some legal requirement that we're notified, where, meaning again, the county is notified if a project sells.
Okay, definitely.
Mr. Chair, this is Jason Crone. I have a question, and I don't know if it can be answered or if it's appropriate, but I've been doing a lot more thinking since the discussions come up in recent meetings regarding the amount of the deposit being made to deal with the restoration or the cleanup later on, and I'm wondering, because of how costs escalate over the course of 30 years, the time frames that these things are being granted. What's being done with that money at the county level when that cash is received? Is it being put in something that has the ability to grow with interest over time to help deal with inflationary issues, or is that a big X factor that the county ends up being liable for if inflation expands or the cost of reclamation down the road escalates, beyond what it is in today's dollars?
Mr. Chair, Angie Berg. Jason, to partially answer that question, I would say that as far as the cash that the county has in terms of the escrow, we can certainly ask the auditor's office that question about earning interest. My understanding is that we don't. But again, we could confirm that with the auditor's office. And secondly, if a project in 20 years costs more than the financial guarantee that we have, that would be a legal question. And I'm not sure if Chad's ready to talk about that tonight or not, and or it would be a conditional use permit enforcement issue at that point, because they're not in compliance with their permit, and we would have to look at options to mitigate that reclamation.
Okay, thanks, Angie. And it doesn't necessarily have to be answered tonight, but it's just one of those things that I've been thinking more. If it's an option to take that cash, my assumption is that cash ends up going into maybe a general fund and gets reallocated. If it could be carved out so that it is there to serve its intended purpose, years down the road, it would be one good thing. Otherwise, is it something that it would be appropriate to put a higher rate on that to cover those unknown factors? Because otherwise, I have a feeling that ends up being a liability that the county ends up having to deal with down the road, potentially. So, thank you. Don't need an answer tonight, but appreciate looking into it.
And hey, this is Chad, just chiming in as well. As to that part, we will be working on that exact issue. I know that everyone did receive a copy of that Minnesota Commerce Department working group report, and they do have some recommendations which we're going to be using. One of which is that exact issue. There is the potential to periodically review these under a permit to specifically address the issue of where are things going in terms of financially and inflation and pricing, and it allows us to be flexible to make sure we're as things are moving forward, we're able to collect the appropriate monies to cover that increasing cost. I think to think of it as as like a long-term financial plan where you're looking at something 30 years out and you're collecting that money throughout. It's something we can look at in terms of that as well.
Thank you.
And I'm wondering, I know that this is put on the agenda tonight, obviously, because we're talking about this, but Shelley and Joe, Commissioner Persky and Shelley, is there any discussion on the county board level? Are they concerned? What you sent us today, Angie, am I understanding this right? And what you have up on the screen, today we all received that county application status. Am I reading that right, that there's 93 active 93 active applications in Stearns County?
Mr. Chair, I'm pulling it up right now.
Right.
So the. and
The
I
very
think-
first number.
Right, active applications, yes, that is correct. And that could be, the way I understand it, and I think it talked to the steering committee about that in the August meeting, was that those could be in any variation of application status. So the odds of the planning commission seeing all 93 of those is very slim.
But I think, and I'm kind of a proactive kind of guy, that just scares the hell out of me that there's 93 active applications. Now, there have been counties that have put moratoriums on. Now we get, okay. But is there any concern at the board level where, I mean, really what I think we should do, or at least what Commissioner Persky probably would be the best position for this.
Mr. Chair, yeah, we have not really addressed it as a board. There's not really been concerns brought to the board as far as those number of solar farms in the county.
I mean, I'd really recommend that we've done some wonderful working groups where we've had a couple of commissioners, staff, and we kind of dial in and dig into this. We're going to have a hard time doing it tonight under these conditions. And yet, in the same token, shoot, we could have a couple of them on our next, or do we know, are they going to be at the next, on the May Planning Commission meeting?
We may have one on May's agenda, potentially.
I mean, do we want to just keep dripping these and kind of reacting to these, or do we want to just take a deep breath and kind of get our arms around the decommissioning fees and some consistencies? And do we really want potentially, I mean, yep, they may not, 93 may not happen, but obviously the next closest county is 60-64. So, I mean, they're happening, or they're at least potentially happening. How many of these do we really want? Is there any concern? I'm concerned. I mean, too much of a good thing is too much of a good thing. And we're hearing the decommissioning costs are higher. We're hearing that suddenly now these aren't 25, 30-year projects. Potentially they're going to be longer. I mean, this is really kind of changing quickly. And you got Sherburne County that's making $1 million decommissioning fee, which really I don't think is realistic, but that's kind of their way of slowing it down. Should we have a thought about doing the moratorium and coming up with a working group that can dig into this a little bit deeper and then come back with a little bit better information for the Planning Commission, for the county board? Or isn't this a big deal? I guess I'm not sure.
Mr. Chair, I think I think it's valid to keep digging into it. It is a striking number when you look at the percentage that were higher than the majority of counties in the state. The decommissioning assurance could be one way to help mitigate that, and at least make sure that the projects that are going in aren't borderline. They're very viable type projects, and that's one thing that could really, I think, help reduce some risk long term as technology and different things change. And some of the concern being, will something replace solar, or at least the current style of solar gardens that come up and end up creating kind of a precipitous effect. So whether it's a moratorium or whether it's definitely looking at the financial guarantee required to assure they're more viable, I think it's important to look at in reviewing the numbers.
Shelley
Mr. Chair, Joe Bursky, I would agree with Jason that we should continue to look at this, but I would have a tough time with a moratorium. I guess I don't understand what the sound rationale to have a moratorium would necessarily be, other than we're uncertain about their future.
Shelley wants to say something.
Shelley Benson, Environmental Services Director. I think it's important that we're having this discussion at the Planning Commission. That's what the county board expects us to do, is to have this kind of conversation here. ask about those financial guarantees, talk about that information. I'm trying to figure out, there, the camera's over there, I suppose it should face the camera. I think the most important thing for us to do is have that discussion then with the county board. If there's something that you want us to bring forward to the county board for that purpose, whether it be financial guarantee. Remember, every time you hear a new application, you have the right to change those financial guarantees based on the information that you're receiving with that application. So just because we previously said 25,000 or 50,000, we have the right to make the change based on the information that we receive. So I think it's something that the Planning Commission will have to tackle, look into, continue to do the work that we've been doing. Staff is working on making sure we get as much information from other counties as possible, and we will bring that forward to the board so that they have that information and can decide if they want some other action at that point. But I think at this point, the Planning Commission is doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is looking into it and having these kinds of discussions.
Thank you, Shelley. Well, we definitely know more today than we did a month ago, and I know I've been driving this the hardest, but we don't necessarily have to put a moratorium on it, Commissioner Persky, but my concern is if right now, in my opinion, the only reason that the solar projects are doing what they're doing is because of the federal incentives and the tax incentives and everything. And if they get a win that we may, this may start changing a little bit without putting a moratorium on, they're going to push the projects quicker. And we're still grappling with what is a better protocol. We know more today than we did 6 months ago. We certainly know more, like I said, than we did a month ago as far as the decommissioning costs. Where do they put these panels? They're landfilling them. So we're learning more as we go weekly. So that would be, in my opinion, the reason for the moratorium. But if we don't do a moratorium, minimally, should we recommend one of two things, either doing a moratorium, doing a working group, or don't do a moratorium and keep piecemealing these, and then at least have a working group that's going to dig deeper than what we're going to do tonight, or even at any planning commission. I mean, this is a 2-hour meeting to deal with this, in my opinion, this solar information. I mean, I've got a pile of information here that's 2 inches thick, and I haven't kept everything. So if we really want to dig into this, we could either just have a working group and try to do that with a couple commissioners and planning commission members and staff, or we do the moratorium on that. I guess I'm open. I'd like to hear from other members what their thinking is, and if it's not a big deal to anybody or anybody else, maybe we just keep doing what we're doing.
Mr. Chair, the other option I would suggest
Mr.
is
Chair,
that...
I agree. Let's go ahead. We can bring this up already on Tuesday, at least for the board awareness. I have no trouble bringing it by issues by commissioner, or else if Shelley even wants to put it on her agenda for environmental, I think it would be timely to bring it to the board's attention on Tuesday.
And I think if members have a concern with things, they should share that Shelley then and Commissioner Persky can see for these reasons. And mine would be now, and again, we just found out, I just found this out today, that there's 93 active applications. One, we're struggling with this decommissioning fee to try to be consistent, but getting more information now about the cost of decommissioning, the length of the projects are getting longer than what originally we were told. Where do they put the solar panels? They're landfilling them, as they are with the wind blades. So those would be 3 of my concerns. And then just how many projects do we really want in the county? So those would be my 4 concerns that would relate to why we want to do this. So if other members have concerns, either now or sometime before Tuesday, share them with Commissioner Persky and Shelley.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is Jason Kuhn again, and I will reiterate, I'm definitely jumping on board here more and more with wanting to look at this. Initially, I might have been a little naive on I'm looking at it's landowners' right. If they want to put a solar garden on their property, that's fine. But what I'm increasingly becoming concerned about is that decommissioning side of it. It's actually the future potential for the county to have to bear costs of decommissioning if, for some reason, if subsidies for these solar gardens wane and it starts to fall apart. Taxpayers are going to be either stuck on the hook, or we need to make sure that there's plenty of decommissioning money available to address the cleanup of those gardens. So, I'm definitely concerned on that side of it.
Yep. See, this is Rich Fuentes, Mr. Chair. Just listening from the outside here, I think we need to get that commission of people together. In the current state of affairs that are going on with the corona stuff, I just look the difficulty it is. I had a tough time tonight trying to listen to people. I don't know where the interference was coming from, but I had a ton of it, and then so I was missing comments. But anyways, keep focusing on the decommissioning. And the other thing is, who's responsible for the waste? Decommission. Where does that stuff get buried? Does it get buried in our county because we agreed to allow these things to go, to be constructed? Or is there going to be a state central landfill for the solar panels? We have no idea about this.
Demolition landfill.
We don't, but I can tell you this, being kind of in the business, that people that are going to decommission them and have to throw them away, they're not going to want to truck them 1,000 miles. They're going to want to bury them. They're going to want to bury them right on site or at the closest demolition landfill that there is. And again, we're not anticipating that. I'm just going to keep saying 93. I understand there may not be 93 farms. However, you have to take that serious. If they're active applications, they could. So let's say there's 70 of them. Well, 70 solar farms, I mean, there's 6, 7, 8 in Paynesville on one substation. We may be creating a problem for ourselves, or certainly our children, that we don't even realize we're creating. Because when the money, all these people that, in my opinion, that portray that this is for the environment and everything else, let's face it, guys, it's for the money. They're making money at this. They're not doing it all for the environment. They may be doing it for some of the environment, but it's money driven. In 2019, we had 14 applications, or 14 permitted farms, if my numbers, if my research is right. In 2018, we had 6. 2017, we had 5. What do we have? 32? Is that 32 total? No. How many did we have? I can't remember how many we had, but the point is, in 3 years, it went from 5 to 14. I mean, this shot up, and again, there's a reason, and I keep asking why Stearns County, and I think Brian Ross answered some of that. There's more substations here, but again, is that a good enough reason to allow them? Just because, the rural electrification that we had in Stearns County, which is a good thing, these substations, what if somebody else needs to tap into them? We're going to let them completely get used up by solar farms? I think a nice mix of things is always, it's a farm mentality. You didn't plant all oats or all corn. You planted a little bit of oats, a little bit of corn, a little bit of beans, 1 for the use of the land and 2 for the price of the crop. Well, right now we're planting all solar farms. Wind's off, and the only reason the wind quit is because the money dried up. I mean, we had 5 permitted farms from Geronimo. We went through great work to do that, and they just dried up because the funding went away. So they come and go, not because it's good for the environment, they come and go because of the money. So we heard from Rich, we heard from Jason Crone, Joe Persky, myself. Anybody else want to share anything? Then we can wrap it up. And Chad, I think more than anything, thanks for being with, but I think with all due respect, you know the least of all of us on this, and we really need to bring you up to speed on this, and we need your legal help as we deal with these things, because we have the deer in the headlight look, thinking, can we raise the decommissioning fee? Can we require a cash escrow? You know, those kinds of things is where we need a little bit of legal guidance on, and we'll give you some time to do a little bit more research and work with Angie and help prepare us a little bit more for the next one that comes before us.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, I'm definitely, I've been looking at this for a while. I wasn't able to make it to some meetings for some other reasons, but yeah, I'm up to speed. Whatever you need, just make sure to get in touch, and I'm there to help out.
So any other members want to share something either now, or else if you don't now, then do it obviously at your own leisure then. Okay, not hearing anything. Let's go to the minutes of the February 20th, 2020 meeting. Can we get a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Rich Blankish moves to approve the February 20th meeting minutes. Is there a second?
This is Sean, I'll second that.
Sean's going to second it. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I abstain because I wasn't here. Motion approved to approve the minutes. Minutes for the March 19th meeting. Can we get a motion on that?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Who second?
Crone.
Crone second, okay. Rich Blankish moved to accept the March 19th meeting minutes. Jason Crone seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion minutes are approved. Meeting wrap-up, didn't go too bad. We'll work on a few things, but not bad. So thanks, everybody, for putting up with everything, and great job on the staff. Shelley's got something to say?
What we think we'll be doing next time is a WebEx event. So we think we'll be able to have everybody in on a WebEx meeting, and then hopefully we don't have any of the feedback issues because we're going to be directly working with the mic on your laptop. So hopefully we have all that ready to roll for the next meeting. That's what we're intending at this point.
And sooner than later, I hope we can all come back together again in person, so.
Somebody had a question?
Real quick question, Jason Crone again. I've been living on WebEx and Zoom and all this fun stuff lately. Hey, so out of curiosity, for that WebEx meeting, just a thought, if people, let them know sometimes that a phone login in conjunction with the computer can work really well. If you've got weak bandwidth, the voice over IP can get really choppy. So I've been experiencing that in a lot of meetings throughout the day. So if you can combine and pair the phone with the computer, that works out really well for some people. So just a heads up.
Thank you. We will look into that as well. So I do appreciate that. So as we're proceeding forward, we're going to try to bring more of the technology in. Some of the issue is the fact that we're trying to also then broadcast it through our website, and sometimes there's some incompatibility with trying to do the meeting and then broadcasting it through our website. So that's what we're working on. So hopefully the county board will be our first test of that next week, Tuesday, and then the following Thursday night, we should be doing that with the county Board of Adjustment. And then in May, depending on how this all falls, we'll let you know. But otherwise, anticipate it as a WebEx, and we'll look into the pairing of the phone as well. So thanks, Jason, for that.
With that, motion to adjourn would be in order.
Just a minute, Mr. Chair. Of course, I got something to say.
Well, see-
I know people want to get to the fridge and get to bed, but real quickly, I was quite concerned about that abandoned junkyard out there at Melrose. And I'm concerned about a bunch of them, being out and throughout the county. I can't imagine that's legitimate. I mean, just like decommissioning a solar farm, I would think if you would decommission a junkyard, you'd have to have it cleaned up instead of just abandoning it. So I'm going to follow up with Troy about that, and that is a concerning issue for me. I don't know if anybody has the same opinion.
Commissioner Persky, Shelley Benson, yep, I did contact Troy while you guys were done, and I started instant messaging him. He's aware of it. We're going to put all the pieces together so I can bring you some information on Tuesday so that we're all aware of kind of what's happening on the adjacent property and what's been done to date and any outstanding orders from MPCA. So we will get in touch with you related to that as well as bring it to the board.
Okay, with that,
Sounds good.
with that, we're going to adjourn the meeting. A motion to adjourn? Second?
A second, Rich.
Motion is made, second, adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Against, same sign.
Mr. Chair, thank you for a good meeting.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
So 2 of the computers were on up here, and hadn't shut all the way off, and so what we were getting was